All right. So this is Dr. Vidoni. She's going to go over building a positive learning environment. At the end, I'll give a 5-minute warning, and then I will post the question at 12:55. All right.
Okay. So hello, everyone. I can't see you because I'm looking at the screen right now. I wish I could. Maybe I should know better of this. And it's a pleasure to be here today. I want to thank Mimi for inviting me. And this is one of my favorite subjects. I've done a lot of studies on this. I teach some of it. I don't do in depth because I spend most of my time with my students going through classroom management. You will see that this kind of presentation goes beyond classroom management. This is more for in-service teachers than for pre-service teachers, because you get to know more what your classes are and build upon what you have. Classroom management, you know more about the rules and routines and expectations that you can implement, right? So the topic will be a general topic called building a positive learning environment in elementary PE. Just to make sure that we are meeting these standards, I want to state that we are talking today about Kentucky Academic Standards and Shape America Standard 4, both related to affective domain. So, and we will talk a lot about personal and social responsibility. That will be my final topic in building a positive learning environment. And this is a very heavy terminology under standard 4. Now, so this is, I heard that you can speak. So Amanda is going to be work for you. So if you can manage that, I have this question for you. So building a positive learning environment, why we need that? I will show you later some suggestions, but I want to hear from some of you why we need, what is this thing about creating a positive learning environment in our physical education classes? Any volunteer? Can I pick somebody?
Dr. Vidoni, a lot of them will add it into the chat as well. And since you can't see it, they may need to be a little more vocal today.
Yeah.
And Amanda can call it out too.
Yes,
Okay.
please. Because yeah, this is important.
I'll read some. It lets every student feel a part of learning for involvement participation, so students can learn in a safe environment, so students feel comfortable. Another, so students feel comfortable and so they can learn.
Yes, this is our language.
Recording in progress.
Ah, okay, cool. Anything else? I want to hear from you because I want you to speak our language, the language that we need in physical education, right? That we use in the gym, that we talk to other teachers. Anything else? I will add a little bit of a confirmation about what you're saying or things that you probably think. They're very common to us. So why building a positive learning environment? Because we want to establish a community of trust in the gym. We want to help students to develop a sense of belonging. We want to cultivate respect for self and others, provide opportunities to develop compassion for others, help students to take responsibility for their own actions. We want students to increase their motivation to learn and to increase their participation too. We want to empower students in the decision-making process in the class. We want to foster more opportunities for cooperation with one another. And ultimately, you want our students to enjoy PE, and we want them to pursue a lifelong healthy lifestyle. I was going to put here even the competence and the confidence of the students to. That's what we want ultimately, that it relates to even other standards, because we want them to participate in physical activity. But there is a lot in there that every student comes with a background, some knowing more about being social or respect or feeling good with themselves, some of them know less. So we got to figure out how to deal with a large class and to deal with several students in class. So you will notice that this is going to be beyond class management. This is beyond then listening to directions. It's adding to more attitudes and positive other behaviors that we can find. But how? can we do that? So we know the why we need. It's needed for so many reasons. And it's not a new thing that we know that we need that. But how are the things that you do, that you know that you are implementing, that you are fostering a positive learning environment to your students? If does anybody can share something that you know how you are doing?
Students' interaction with other students.
Yeah, so you allow them to interact. So that's good. It's a good teachable moment to prepare activities that they do interact. Yes. Was it Ryan Connor? I'm trying to guess who was talking, but okay, somebody else?
I had typed allowing kids to give each other positive reinforcement as well as us giving them positive reinforcement directly to someone.
Great. Yes, we celebrate and we let them celebrate when good things happen. So we have to set up the stage for them to do more, right? Instead of I was a teacher, a PE teacher in the gym, with young children for 10 years. And I caught myself being so negative most of the time, like searching for inappropriate behaviors to punish because I wanted order, right? Discipline. And many times I forgot to reinforce the good things. And until I learned that every time that we are reinforcing a positive behavior, we are increasing the likelihood that this kind of behavior is going to happen again and again. And consequently, this will suppress the negative behavior. It took me a while to figure that out. So we celebrate with the students and we help students to celebrate with each other when positive behaviors happen. Anybody else?
I would say maybe being specific with the type of positive reinforcements that students want or need to show.
Yeah. Yeah. Billy? I saw your name on the screen. Anybody else?
Somebody in the chat says use restorative language, and somebody else said they use fun, engaging games.
Okay. Yes, that is great. So you have the intention of that. You don't let things to be accidental. So that's another thing that I didn't put that terminology in there, but it's part of it. So what several of you mentioned, implicitly or explicitly, we show that we care about each student in the class in different ways, before the class, during the class, at the end of the class. So we listen to the students, we establish common goals with them collectively. We allow them, when we listen to their voices, we make sure that they all know where we are going to go. And we express our expectations of positive behaviors. We celebrate the positive behaviors. We persist. But when we express and then we share common goals, they are implicit in the activities that we plan to do it. So we have to intentionally plan for activities that we can see positive behaviors, and we need to remind the students we cannot expect, because I read a lot about positive behaviors are consequence or automatic consequence of students playing games. No, when you're there teaching this, you know that is not automatic. For some students, because they are already engaged or they already know some of the behaviors, they will give high fives, they will give support to each other. But some of them won't know that. Where did they learn that? So we are the ones that we need to establish those expectations when we are teaching the activities with them, in partners, in groups, as a whole class. So, and then we are there to celebrate, and we cannot give up on that because it takes a while. For some students, again, they will come to class ready for the positive learning environment. And as you know, some will come to class not so ready about it. And we have to deal with everybody, and we got to persist and create more circumstances, set the stage for everybody to improve and to create this better environment. So when do we do that? When do we build a positive learning environment?
all the time.
All the time. That is very nice. Yeah, so we can never forget that. And many times, I'm not saying that we are social workers. You know, our major goal in PE is just to build behavior, because I've seen a lot of that too. But it's for every teacher. It is important for all subject. You gotta know well your subject. You know, as a physical educator, you gotta know well what to teach and how to assess your students in motor skills and the cognitives that are related to the motor skills. But this is an environment that we got to see children in a holistic way. So this is all part of teaching and being a teacher in general. So all the time we're going to think about that. Again, goes back to the first question, because of the why. We want everybody to be in our class, to be present, to enjoy, to feel safe, to feel that sense of belonging. So every day is a new opportunity. And words that I'm putting on this presentation, that is food for your thought. I believe that most of you are doing this. So I'm validating what you're doing and are reminding you, if you are forgetting some days, to collectively identify what behaviors in this class needs to be built. They need to be built. So asking students what is needed. When there is an issue, when there is a problem or there is a conflict, there are times that you don't need to stop the whole class, but there are times that you need to stop the whole lesson to talk about it. And ask them, you know, express your interest, you know, how they feel about it, right? And set up expectations on how a good behavior, a better climate can happen. What can we do to make that happen? So sometimes we need to stop and think and talk about these issues. So we gotta make it part of your lesson introduction in a daily basis. Of course, some days you can talk a little longer, some days you can just prompt and touch upon it. But I think it's important to remind students that this is, we won't use that word, of course, but that's a micro society that we live when we are in the gym, right? So we want that respect, we want that compassion, we want that responsibility. And it is nice to every day to choose a concept. For example, even if you choose respect, you say, well, I want respect in the class, but respect is a broad concept, right? Or is a construct. We gotta pick one behavior that is related to respect. For me, this is really important, because when you talk about young children here, there are some words that we speak, they are not very concrete for them. They wanna know what respect is in that context that you are teaching, for that particular game, for that particular day, or the lesson that you are teaching. So you gotta show in a more tangible way what kind of words you can say to show that, what kind of behaviors you can demonstrate through that. So you can ask them to give an input about what they can do to make that environment better for that particular lesson, because we use different types of equipment. We use this space in so many different ways. Sometimes our behaviors need to be, or students' behaviors, they need to be shaped according to the space that they are using. And the last bullet that I have on this lesson introduction part is about reminding them every day. And many times we teach them, because again, we don't know what students already know or not. What I know is that many times we give a reprimand for students for not doing something that would meet our expectation, or something that the opposite that what we said, but we don't know if we had taught that before, if this student comes with a background knowledge about that behavior. So we gotta be explicit about what we want and pick a behavior within the big concept that we have those sometimes posted on the wall in the gym. I will show you posters today, but you will see that those words are broad, and we need to dissect them, giving more concrete examples to young children, and prompt students to show these behaviors. And also make it part of the lesson closure, so it's part of your whole day, right? So as a teacher, you can pinpoint, it's not to spend the whole class doing this, but pinpointing positive things that you saw. You can make a comment about missed opportunities to be positive, to remind and to teach them when they can use and how they can use more positive behaviors. And when it's necessary, you reset your expectations for the class. So you change, under respect, there are so many levels of behaviors that you can work on. You can come back to a level that you thought that they already had, and then you explain again, and you expect that behavior to be shown more and more. So any comment or question regarding this? The win? I'm moving on, okay?
Dr. Vidoni, it's Erica McGowan. I noticed that some of the new teachers, the younger teachers, allow, kids to make comments about other students and just things that where they miss out on the opportunity to build that positive learning environment by stepping away from the lesson that they're teaching and taking that teachable moment to address that that's not acceptable for the classroom, and that this is how we're going to treat one another. That's inappropriate. Let's not allow that to happen again. And we have to be mindful of that we must take those moments to address those issues in a positive way to continue to build that positive learning environment in our classrooms.
Exactly. We will talk, thank you for bringing that up, because we will talk about these teachable moments many times, and some of them might be bigger than others, right? So as you know, things that you do, sometimes you ignore a few things, right? Sometimes you make it a more of a big deal, and many times you got to stop and talk. And because it is a teachable moment, and it's nice, for example, this part that I just talked, the end of the class, pinpointing and talking about positive things that your friends did is a nice thing to acknowledge that. But you made me think about, it's not a nice thing to point and judge somebody. Oh, Erica, you did this to me or that. So you can report to the teacher, and the teacher can address in a general way. And then you can approach the student later, because we don't want to increase the occurrences of judgmental behavior. We want to decrease the judgment, right? But if something happens, we can address the inappropriate behavior separately, but we can teach the appropriate behavior generally. Those are the things that we need to be careful, because this is such a delicate area that we don't want to expose students to be on the spot, right? And for them to feel like, oh, I'm entitled, I'm doing well, I can talk about others. So, but that was a good comment. So those teachable moments will be part of this conversation. So what resources do you use? Some of you already mentioned something. So when you build on it, so I've seen posters in some of the gyms that I have visited, but anything, what do you use? Is there anything that you would like to share about what you particularly do in your gym to reinforce these behaviors? Or the question is, when you build a positive learning environment, you use some resources to help you out. So I'm trying to get, what do you do? What are the resources that you use? Because I know that you've done a lot of social emotional learning workshops, so you probably got something from there too.
Two people have put in the chat that they both use compliment circle or compliment time.
Ah, okay. So that is something cool.
There are several SEL resources, like the Ubuntu cards from High Five Adventure, that builds like group and helping them find common connections, and some of those other things that you can use to help them kind of develop those relationships. And as they develop those relationships, then it becomes easier to work through problems and how we would treat one another as you develop that community inside your classroom or inside each individual class.
Yes, well, great, Robin. So I'm reading the names. I hope I'm saying the right name. Yes, good. Anything else? So I like that you speak, because other people probably have learned some of this before and didn't use. So knowing that you are using is a great thing. It's a great connection.
Also in the chat, somebody said they have posters that track positive behaviors, and they have students like self-assess how they did on their positive behavior goal.
Ah, okay. Well, that is very cool too. And then I'll bring that up again. So you can post more things. I'm gonna add some of very common thing, the white chart that you probably learned in social emotional learning before. But one of the things that I find interesting about this, because we want the students to take ownership for the environment when we are building a community. So we want to hear their impression. So how it looks, how it feels, how it sounds. It is nice that you can create a chart with your students. It can be on the board. You can create a chart right there in front of them. So how it looks like to feel good today in class, how it sounds like, and how it feels like. So you can every day come up with one behavior that can be related to that. Simple things like that, that you can draw right on the spot. Could you draw and leave permanently for a certain period of time and you switch when you need? Of course. Everything that I'm talking about here is just to give some food for your thought and for you to adapt and use it the way that you want. I just find this is an easy way that the students can dig in their own feelings and talk about in the class. And then you can create an environment that they can have an input on it. And I've done activities before with young children that they came up with the behaviors that they wanted to change and they wanted to see behaviors that we were not seeing. Like you are playing an activity that you have to pull the scarf from the back of the the other taggers or the other players. So the scarves fall on the ground. And what is a positive? How about a positive behavior looks like? Oh, somebody picks up that scarf and give it back to the other person. So if you see something being dropped, you can pick it up and help the person. So how does it feel when somebody's helping you? Oh, it feels really good. So there are little things like teachable moments like this. Sometimes you can anticipate and you help them. Hey, we can be positive during this activity. If you help somebody else, if somebody falls, we can just give a hand and you help this person to get up quickly because the activity is going, right? So we want them to be dynamic, right? But we can talk about how does it feel like? How does it look like when somebody needs help? How it looks like when I'm giving help? How does it feel when you're being helped? How does it feel when you give help? How does it sound? So this is just a food for your thought, that because this is a common thing that we see, but sometimes is not used enough in those teachable moments. And it's an easy thing for students to absorb and to come up with those concrete examples that I was talking about that we need in elementary. And now what I intend to talk about is to bring back to some of you, because this is not new, another resource that is the teaching person and social responsibility. This is a very holistic principle approach that was initiated by a physical educator, because I've been doing a lot of workshops that I like very much in social emotional learning, social ethics learning, and but I can't forget that the first one, I'm not young, right? And I'm from Brazil originally. So I forgot to say, some of you know me, some of you don't. I'm originally from Brazil, and I taught in Brazil 10 years before moving to the United States. And I came to the United States to get my Master's of Education. I had a license already in Brazil, and I wanted to teach at the university. I ended up staying because I ended up doing my PhD in the States and I spent many years. So I learned more about higher education in the US than I knew in Brazil. But when I first came in 2000, when I read about the teaching person and social responsibility model created by Don Hellison, and this was from a book that he wrote in 1995, was published in 1995, right? So he probably wrote this while before. And this changed the way that I saw myself teaching. Because this is very holistic. It's a relational thing that you have with your students. You don't treat the whole class as just for the management part. So I want everybody to be on this spot because I want it's beyond class organization. It's beyond class management. And there are several. Let me just tell you one thing. I don't get any credits for this book. I don't even have the latest edition because sometimes the publisher send us free books, but they gave us free books for the books that we are using for our classes. Resource books we gotta buy, right? So I'm not doing this because I'm advertising for the book. I'm doing this because I believe in him and I like that he was a physical educator. And you will notice that all the goals, all the behaviors, and sometimes I don't want to use the word behaviors because it sounds very explicit. Sometimes we talk about feelings. They are all related to social emotional learning and even to the self-management, the self-awareness, in relation to others. This vocabulary is all there. And they were done by a person that is in physical education. So the central question that caught me when I first came to the US was, to what extent and what ways can physical education help to meet the needs of today's kids? Because every class that you teach in your school, they might have different needs, right? And every kid in the class also has different needs. So we got to figure out how to deal with that. And what's your responsibility and how can we meet this challenge? It is a challenge. It's an everyday challenge. So these ideas that I'm presenting now, they came from his books. The first edition, the one that inspired me, I didn't even search for the picture. This one, the second, is the one that I have. And I learned a lot from him personally. I have this one signed when I met him like in 2005. I think this edition came in 2005. And there is a 2010 edition. And there is another edition coming soon that I gotta pay for it. But I think it doesn't matter what edition you can, because the biggest principles are there from the very first one. What I think that the new editions of the books are having now probably they will add another author because Hellison, he passed away in 2018. They have more case studies, they have more stories or examples to show. But the biggest principles or the strategies that can help us to think about what we do every single day, they were there from the very first book. And then you can find, old editions, you can find it very cheap. If you don't have it, maybe you already have them because some of you bought it in college. So this is done. And he passed away in 2018. He was already over 80 years old. And these are his goals. So when you look at these words, this terminology that he has is very related to the social emotional learning terminology that we are using today. Respect for the rights and feelings of others, so working on self-control. Remember, pay attention to the numbers there, because we will come back to this in a cumulative way. So respect first, self-control, control yourself, your temper, right? You are not bothering anybody else. Perhaps you are not participating, but you are respecting the environment. Respect everyone's right to be included, involvement in peaceful and democratic conflict resolution. 2, effort, self-motivation, explore self-effort and try new tasks, try new things. Isn't it nice? Persistence, take new challenges. 3, self-direction, used to be independence, I think from the first book. This chart's from another edition, so I think it's from the second edition. Self-direction, work independently. That means it's not that the teacher is gonna let the students do things independently, but you give them a task and they don't need you to be there all the time prompting them. They understand what to do and they can do it without you prompting, being around them. So you can, if they are in small groups, if they are in pairs, so they don't need to be under supervision all the time. Goal setting progression. So think about setting goals for yourself. If you did something yesterday, today you can do better. This is very, very individually oriented for them to improve every single day. And courage to resist peer pressure. This is a whole subject, right? This takes a lot to do, but it happens. You will use this when it's needed, and it might be needed more than you think. And when and how we are going to know if there is a peer pressure. So we will talk about that, how we can figure out some behaviors that sometimes we don't see it. They are not explicit to us, because I have noticed students talking about peer pressure and bullying, and I could not see it. So if I didn't have given students opportunities to write something, I would never know what was going on in the gym. So number 4, helping others and leadership. So caring and compassion. Big words that we are using today, and this comes from a long time ago, right? Sensitivity and responsiveness, inner strength. And then number 5 goes beyond the gym. So these are things that you're going to work on. Number 5, going beyond the gym, when you feel like, yeah, everything is good in here. So whatever you're doing, you behave so well here. Why can you do it and do things at home with your mom, with your dad, with your siblings, in the community? What can you do to help and to be caring to others, right? And being a role model outside of the class. Oh, actually, sometimes not even at home. It can be even in the classroom. So you're doing really well in PE, but you don't do so well in a computer class, in the arts class, or in the classroom with your main teacher. And this is an opportunity to remind them to carry on good behaviors. So this goes here. So this is what we want. And this, I know that this is not new for you, but I like to bring this up because sometimes it's dormant. Sometimes we use one more than others, but there are so many opportunities here for your students to grow and to improve their personal and social responsibility. So the levels, we need to be careful. I'm going to start with the caution, because at the bottom bullet in there, it's a way that we can make a shortcut, right? But the caution is that some students don't conform with the cumulative levels. Some students might be caring in certain ways, but they might be disrespectful in another ways. So that would be the caution that I would say. So in one lesson, they can be at different levels. But the nicest thing is that it has a display that you can use. Some of you probably already have that. Then you can use a poster like this in the gym. You can, under each concept, you can put specific behaviors that are related to what you are teaching, that you expect your students to perform. And so again, this chart can be adapted to whatever you need. And this is how it would look like. So if you look at 0, level 0 at the bottom, the lightest color is 0. So it's irresponsibility. This is really important to know what irresponsible is. You can even ask their input, what is irresponsible is for you? Or what is irresponsible in this particular context, right? We see this a lot as adults. We see this a lot. We blame others for things that happen to us. It's not that we need to take all the responsibility, but we can move on. You can find solutions instead of spending a lot of time blaming others or searching for culprits or something else, right? So offending others verbally or physically. So we don't do this in our gym. And we move on from that. So the next level from responsibility is respect, when you demonstrate control of your own behavior. And we are playing without interfering with others. We are not saying how well you are playing, how well you are engaging, but at least you are not interfering with the learning of other people, right? So number 2 is participation. So this is about giving your best effort, participating 100% of the lesson with all peers. So it becomes also part of the interaction with others, making an effort to interact with everybody else, accepting challenges and trying new things. And those are things that you can remind them in the beginning of the class. You can use the teachable moments during the class for them. Hey, this is part of your participation. This is part of you giving your best effort in class. And then we go to self-direction, to more the independent part. So working on tasks independent, again, not drifting from the lesson, but be able to do without the teacher direct supervision, right? Making good choices. And then we have caring, which is the top level, that is helping or support others and being a good listener, being there, being present, and not missing an opportunity to help, being attentive, paying attention if you see something. I think I have given workshops for some of you before, and I don't know if I use this example, but this is so clear to me. one time I was in a school, in a public school, was a middle school, was a 6th grade class that I was observing. And I was not doing any study with them at that point. I went there to talk to the teacher and I observed that lesson. When the students left the gym, one of the posters from the wall, from the bulletin board, fell on the ground. So I think there were like 30 students in the class, 25 to 30 students in the class. So it fell from the very beginning. So if they were going to the locker room, a lot of them were going around the poster. A lot of them were jumping over. There was for them an opportunity to show off a jumping skill, right? And only one person at the very end, not in the beginning, because if it was in the beginning, it would be a nice way for other people to see what an opportunity is. But a person at the very end,
Looks like we lost her, y'all. So we'll just wait a minute. Maybe she'll pop back in.
I thought it was me. Okay.
I did too, but then I saw everybody else was moving. And here we are.
She'll pop back in.
Yeah.
This other session, we were playing paper, rock, scissors. So I didn't know if anybody could see me over here, but I was playing paper, rock, scissors on this other session with.
It just looks like you were
LaDonda Ford.
dancing.
I was there. So there was Thriller and something else. And then there was one point where I played paper, rock, scissors. Trying to be in 2 sessions at once is very difficult. So how's everybody doing today?
Better than I was yesterday.
There you go. There you go.
Phew, that was a long day, Mimi. You know,
Oh
I
my
can't
gosh.
sit too long.
Dr. Vidoni just said her electricity went off.
Oh, no.
Oh,
So hang on tight. Let's see here.
I remember her over at Highland Middle School.
I said we'll continue to talk. So I guess my question for you guys is, how could you apply what Dr. Vidoni was talking about into your practice? So who wants to go first? We're going to give her a few minutes to see if she will be able to join us back. But if she lost her electricity, then I think that's a little bit worse than an internet connection.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts so far on her session?
I liked the part where she talked about when to build the positive learning environments, which is every day. But I specifically liked how she incorporated making it a part of your lesson and then making sure that it's a part of your closure at the end of your lesson before the kids leave.
And I was wondering, that last chart she showed, the blue one with the 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, if that could be used as kind of part of our grading scale. I really thought that that would help kind of for kids to understand, you know, where you could be an O versus an S, you know, and then participation. I like
That's a
that.
great idea.
Yeah, and I wondered if it could be shown so then the kids can kind of see what it means to be irresponsible. That mean, since so much of our grades are not, as far as skill-based, but more behavior-based. I like that chart. I was going to steal that.
Yeah, I was gonna
Well,
ask
she's
if-
gonna share her slides with me and I'll share them with you this afternoon.
I liked the chart the best too. I always have my kids like grade themselves. Well before COVID, they would high five like a 4, 3, 2, 1 on the wall. And then if they were way off, I would talk to them. But that would be awesome to have next to like their self-assessment. I think that'd be really cool. I liked the language on it.
So here's a thought, and let me ask if you guys will be interested in this. So my general fund budget got kicked up by 200, no, what I was at 2,000 and now I'm at 5,000. So I got extra. So, listen, I feel like I'm gonna go out and play the lottery with this money. If I was able to get a code and have a day where I sat over here at the Curriculum Resource Center and you guys could come make posters. Would any of you guys be interested in coming? You could make posters of anything you wanted and I'd pay for it. Would that be something, and you could laminate it? Would that be something that you guys would be interested in?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I would have to just like have an afternoon where I just sat here and it would have to be, you'd have to make your time fit mine. If you were on vacation, you might be out of luck on this. I can work with the people over here just to kind of have a PE day. Maybe we could all do lunch and have lunch ordered in as well.
Right, and maybe just take the top 5 posters we wanted to have as presented, in the district wide in our elementary classrooms would be great. Because then if a kid moved from one classroom, from one school to the next, it's already there. They know the expectation.
Yeah.
I would be willing to make those. And
so I get my money the middle of July. So it would be the end of July because everybody will be going back in August. So I don't know what day it will be, but it will be the last week of July. I'll have a day where I have that open and you guys can just come here to where I work at Camp Edwards and get posters made. I'll have an account and you guys can just charge it. You can be like Wilma and Betty on the Flintstones and charge it. So I have not heard from Dr. Vidoni yet. She said she is trying to get a hotspot. What are some other people's thoughts on what she was saying? Amanda, what were you thinking as the moderator? I'm gonna put you on the spot. So you're paying more attention to me.
But I mean, everything was pretty clear, like setting the tone early when always just focusing on those positive behaviors, but also making it really clear. I like the looks like, sounds like, feels like Y chart, like creating that with the kids and then keeping it up. And then that also can go into their self-assessment too, because it tied right in with the 4, 3, 2, 1 thing. It's all very cohesive.
I like it when she was talking about that guy that wrote that book and the goals for teaching personal and social responsibility, not only in the gym, but how are they going to do it when they go outside the gym, whether it be in another special area, whether it be at home, in the hallways, at the mall, wherever they are with their, sports, with their other teams that they might play with. What he teaches is huge, just to make a whole person or a whole kid, however you want to say that. I tell my counselor all the time, I do afternoon and morning duty every single day of the school year. And she's out there now with me. And every time I open the door up and I'm like, hey, Moody Monday or Totally Tuesday, have a great day. And they never say a word to me. And I'm like, it irritates me to death. So last school year that we were in school, I would say to the parents, we're working on speaking back to someone, and it worked, but they have forgotten it. So we're going to have to go back to that. You know, when someone speaks to you, you need to speak back to them in a polite way, whether it be one word or a sentence.
Somebody else.
Jenny, I was laughing about that because I say it all the time. I tell the kids, I'm not a stranger. You can speak to me.
One of the things I think about too is sometimes I think we get into building the positive environment at the beginning of the school year when you're going over routines and procedures at the very beginning. And then you kind of drift off from that, but it's super, super, super important to touch on it all the time as needed and not just at the beginning of the school year. And then again, when we come back after Christmas break, you have to constantly, you know, reiterate the positive things that you expect to see in your classroom and from your students.
Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
Welcome back. Welcome back. Do you have electricity?
Well, yes, when I was talking, I noticed that the lights went out. And I started saying, hey, everyone, I think I'm losing my electricity. And then boom, everything went down. I don't know, it's not even raining. And so I'm glad that we have still people there. Is that okay if I finish up where I was? I don't think I have much left. And thank you for your patience, everyone. Let me share screen. Okay, now the screen doesn't show. Just to help a little more. Just a second. And over here.
A lot of people wanted to make sure that you share your slides with me so I can share them with everyone.
Sure, yes. I was even going to do it before we had, cannot find them now to share. Can share now. Let's see what I'm doing. I'm in the basic. Okay. So this is where I was. We are talking about the levels, and I think the last one we went through caring, right? And I will share, and I also have this poster by itself if somebody's interested, and you can edit if you want to. You know, you can have this poster as a template, and you can add the words that you want to do underneath of it.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were interested in that.
Yeah, well, thank you. That is very nice. I had something like a while ago, something like this that I shared with you. The poster was red, and the district actually, maybe the district made the copies and paid for. They were like big like this.
How long ago was that?
This was not in JCPS, was in Columbus Public Schools.
Oh,
yeah. But that's the time I gave the talk, and Hellison was there too, visiting. So they made a big deal of it, and had different words, but they had money though. There was a big grant. That's why he was there. I didn't get paid anything because I was a graduate student at that time, but they had.
Well, I have more money, so that might be something that I can look into.
Yeah, and JCP has the resources to make it. I mean, you don't have to make a color or something that can be cheaper, but big enough that teachers can put it in the gym and use whenever they want. So some of the strategies that Hellison, he suggests in the gym, to talk in the gym with the children are things that you probably do. And he just put names to them. So which, for example, this counseling time that will happen in the beginning and the end of the class, they are informal conversations that you have with individual students. This is a relational time when you get to talk, to get to know them and things about their personal lives that they feel the sense of belonging with you. Or sometimes you can even address an issue that you had before and how that issue was solved. These are individual interactions that happens before class, not to take time from the class. The awareness talk is the talk that even in the beginning, I mentioned the beginning of the class, when you do this every day, right? So in the beginning of the class, you bring children together and you talk about the levels, or you can even talk about one level, or you can talk about one behavior related to that level or to that concept. But awareness talk means you speak to the whole group. You remind them of something, or you teach them some of the behaviors. And part of the how, sometimes you can ask them to role play or to give an example or things that they want to see. It can be more concrete than just us preaching them, right? It's nice that sometimes they can give an input on the behaviors. During the lesson is exactly what Erica McGowan was mentioned about. So those teachable moments that can help students to meet the goals. Somebody, I thought it was Ryan Conner, but I'm not sure, that mentioned about I create opportunities for them to interact with each other. So you intentionally create group activity that you already do, but you intentionally think, I'm going to stop and talk about together. You are scoring points, not you are not winning or losing. Oh, if we play how many strikes we get together, we can get points. That's our challenge. Or let's say if we, in 5 seconds, we can focus on what we are doing, we won't talk. We will just pay attention. If in 5 seconds, I can observe what you are doing and give feedback to you. You teach them how to focus and how to help each other. And this can be, during the lesson, these teachable moments, they can be planned ahead of time by you. And you can think about any one of this. Uh-oh, where are they? These goals here. Something can motivate them. So I love the challenges. So let's see, using the word, let's see if you can do this with your partner. It could be praising. It could be playing without interruptions. If it could be striking without missing the ball, anything that you can do that they can concentrate, they can focus. I love the let's see means that this is a challenge for them to do. So you think of these goals and you use it on your teachable moments, and then you have a group meeting at the end of the class with the whole group, reviewing things or the pinpointing that you can do. Ask a student to give an example of something good that they noticed. And also you can review some of the behavior, change some of the expectations or some opportunity that they missed to show positive behaviors. Reflection time, that can be any type of self-assessment. I will talk about assessment in a minute. I'm rushing with time. And the counseling time, which is similar to the beginning, but this is after the class ends. So you have a little bit, or sometimes even in the hallway, an interaction that shows that you care and you make that child to feel that the child belongs to your class.
We just have like 2 minutes.
Okay, so we're there. So the types of assessment that we can do, observation assessment, little rubrics that could tell, you have a roster with the name of the students that they consistently demonstrate those behaviors. And they can, these are the popular ones, the self-assessment. So if you have a poster like this in your gym, you put it in a tall place. When they end the class, they can tap. So this is the tap poster kind. So they tap what levels that they are. They can raise hands at the end of the class. You ask them, what levels are you? Can you do it better? Can you remember things that you did that made you to be at this level? You can use in so many different ways. And I had a teacher once using a bucket system. Everybody had an identification card with their own picture on the ground. When they come to the gym, that was like attendance. So if the card was still there, it's because the child was not in class. At the end of the class, there were like 4 buckets, levels 1 through 4. And the students put their identification card in each bucket on their way out. And of course, the ones that are level 1 and 2, you would stop and talk. So you can create any type of self-assessment that you want, but in a practical way that it would not take the whole class to do it. And sometimes, and I've done it before, I had students writing something once in a while, because during that writing, an exit slip, an exit report, you can say that's when you know that sometimes things are happening and you are not aware of. And in writing, you will get to know. You can ask them to put their names on or not names on, but you will know things that are happening in your class and you can remediate the situation. Conclusion. So these are the qualities. So teaching is not simply what one does, but it's who one is. So put the children first, care about them, find their strength and celebrate with them, be able to listen, be a role model. We finished. And then Mimi has the questions to you.
Actually, Amanda is getting ready to drop
posting
that
it right
question.
now.
Okay, I put the question is there too, but she will put the link.
Hey,
I'm gonna
can
stop yes,
Can I ask if you want to continue this talk with us during the semester or during the, like the fall or winter? Would you be willing to do that?
yes, we can have a PLC about it.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I don't know if anybody else would be interested, but while you were gone, we had a really rich discussion and everybody was really into the session.
I am so sorry you lost me.
No, well, it gave us some time to talk as a group. But I think that it's, and I said the same thing to Dr. Eckler, that it will be great to have another follow-up session with you all during the semester or, you know, during the winter at some point.
Yeah, I am very interested in being part of PLCs because I am studying more about communities of practice, not to be part of your group because I'm the university professor, but because I can put something on the table, but everybody else can. Everybody else can put some new to the table. A lot of things that you do, a lot more, especially during NTI, that you know, and I don't know. So I think as a group, everybody can grow, and I would love to learn more from each one of you. I learn a lot from the teachers that I work with for student teaching and for methods courses. It would be amazing for me to meet as a community, not me as a leader, but part of the community. I would love that.
But we would love to have you do more with us.
Yeah. Oh, we have 4 minutes now. Now I can see the clock. So if you have any questions for now, anything, I rushed through the end. I didn't ask your input for anything, but if there is anything, any comment, let's share now. Well, I think they're responding to the questions.
And I will give you access to your answer, and I will go ahead and pull that and I'll share that with you now. All I got to do is figure out which one you are. And I will give you access to your form.
Okay.
And you'll be able to see what everybody says.
Okay, so I'm glad everybody's still there. They didn't quit.
Oh, no, no one did.
You know, I did have that impression. Should I go to my office and do that in there? But I live super close to the university. Many times when the energy drops there, it comes here.
It dropped here today. All of these guys will tell you that I spent the early part of the morning trying to find an open coffee shop.
Oh my goodness.
I will follow up with you about continuing the work.
Please do, yes. And I would like to engage with everybody. I would like to know, I could even create another session next year with input from everybody, you know, making like a template with all different kinds of strategies that everybody's doing, and everybody could talk. That would be really nice.
Yeah, it would be.
Face to face would be so much better. All right, so I'm still available. I'm here. I know that you are all doing something, doing your questions and.
Yeah, it looks like 17 people or 18 people so far have done the validation question. If you need that, just email me if you can't find it.
And I'm checking my email. I think, oh no, I thought I had gotten something.
This is how they get their proof that they attended. So I know that they were here and I can get their PD forms.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a nice accountability system.
Hey, Mimi, I know I'm not the only one, but remind people they have to go on and do the other form also.
Oh yeah, well, after I put you on, then you guys will have several forms for on PD Central that you have to do to get your hours. So all those evaluations are waiting for you. This one's just to get you into PD Central.
And was that 666666666? Come on, Mimi, laugh, girl, laugh.
I am. I'm
I know.
I'm tired.
It's hard sitting. I had to go out and bike in between.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh,
You know, when the electricity went down, I was trying to get a hotspot from my phone. I couldn't do that. You know, I have so much to learn in this life.
I won't be able to learn it.
I see people at the airport that they pull up their computers and they get the internet for their phones, but I never need it. So now I know that I have something to learn, but I could not get it on the spot. But anyway.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome, Amanda. Thank you, all of you. Thank you for mediating everything. Mimi, thank you for the opportunity, and for everybody that attended. Thanks for your patience.
I will share the
send
slides.
the PowerPoints. Yeah, I will send to you right now, and I'll send the poster. I think I sent the poster to you before, but I'll send it again in case somebody wants to get that template.
Definitely.
Everything that Donna didn't leave me with very much. So if you worked with Donna, I don't have it.
Yeah, but there was one time I remember that I sent to you. We talked about this poster, but
Oh, then maybe it's
yeah,
just slipped
but
my
doesn't
mind.
matter. Yeah, but it doesn't matter because it's more related to what we are doing now. I don't want you to search for anything, and it doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't take any extra time. I would just put both files together, and maybe I send you a PDF. I don't remember, but we spoke about it. I will send a real PowerPoint because people can edit, they can change it if they want to, the behaviors, and I'll send you the presentation. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Take care,
Amanda,
everybody.
thank you so much for moderating.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Bye.
Bye, guys.